Okay, well, welcome back. We're here with another interview from our Creating Happiness in the Workplace interview series. And today we're here with Doryce McCarthy with Omni Youth Services. She's the president of Omni Youth Services, which is a comprehensive behavioral health organization serving needs of children, adolescents, and adults in the Chicago Northwest suburbs. We were just chatting before, learning that they had a couple spaces downtown here in Lake Zurich before they moved out to Buffalo Grove location. And I want to thank you guys too, because you've been a member of our chamber since 1990.
Wow, see, back when I was here.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what Omni does.
Sure. Omni, as you said, provides outpatient behavioral health.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is we provide outpatient therapy for traditionally and historically adolescents and their family systems. And really, the youth who are referred to us are referred because of anxiety, depression, substance use, difficulty at home, conflict at home. We also provide 24-hour crisis intervention to our local police departments, meaning that if a youth is found and they are a runaway or their parents have locked them out or they are homeless for some other reason, we will intervene on site at the local police departments and make sure that we find them a safe place to stay, hopefully with their family system, but if necessary, within a shelter.
Yeah. So we've seen the effects of COVID on everybody, right? Almost everybody, whether it's from a physical, inventory restaurant owner, maybe to, a lot of the mental health increases in every age group. So what kind of differences have you seen, or how has your business changed because of COVID?
So our business has changed in that we have actually gone for a while to 100% virtual services, meaning that all appointments were via video or phone. And we are slowly easing back into kind of a blended model of some services are happening virtually while others are happening in person.
How did that work for the kids that usually come in for programming?
They were socially isolated in all ways. They couldn't go to school. They couldn't be with their friends. They couldn't be in their therapy groups. And so really that was very hard on them, and it created a tremendous amount of anxiety and subsequently depression for everybody, including our youth. They had school supports to help them, but they weren't right there, in person. And so what we saw is actually an increase in the number of people who were asking us for services, and for the first time began running waiting lists during COVID because the numbers are so great, and we continue those right now. Unfortunately, we can't get everybody in as fast as possible, and what I'm sure you're going to ask me about later is those workforce issues that are impacting all of us. But unfortunately, there are still kids waiting for services. For the first time during COVID, and I'd like to find some more research about this, but for the first time during COVID, our percentage of female clients outnumbered our percentage of male clients.
Really?
And I think that's because of the anxiety and depression.
In youth?
All across the board. But anxiety and depression is most often diagnosed in females, where our males tend to come to us for behavior issues or other things like that, which are more noticeable, right? So anxiety or depression, people can have that and be quiet in the background and nobody may notice.
Right.
But with COVID, those numbers have really accelerated.
Yeah. When we talk about youth being impacted by COVID, how do you think that it's impacted youth in the workforce?
Sure. I think youth aren't as secure going out and being with other people. They're relearning how to be in large groups, to go back to school, and that anxiety that goes along with that is preventing many youth from entering the workforce. And they don't want to be exposed. They don't want to have to not go to school. So a lot of times it's, gosh, if I...
So in other words, they're not really seeking out the part-time jobs they have when they're in school, or, I mean...
I don't think they are. I shouldn't say that I actually know that because I'm
Right.
not providing the direct service anymore.
Right.
But it certainly seems like there are a lot of high school level positions open.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons. Or I even saw an article the other day about park districts being unable to staff their camps for summer because there's so few candidates.
Yeah,
out
that's
there.
a good observation, I
Mhm.
would say. As a business owner, you don't necessarily know if your employer or if your employee has a mental health issue,
Mhm.
right? Like you said, especially with the depression and the anxiety, that gets held back, so no one knows. I could have it, you could have it,
Mhm.
we could have it in here, we don't know.
Right.
So, are there kind of tips for business owners that will help them support those individuals in the workplace? I mean, we kind of coined our campaign here, creating happiness in the workplace.
Sure.
Or are there maybe different signs?
Sure.
What advice do you have for business owners to kind of tackle this?
So I think it's that flexibility, and I think we're all being very flexible in how staff are coming back into the workforce. Flexible schedules,
yeah.
some at home, some in the office. But in addition to that, it's flexibility within the day. So you may not know if your staff member has a mental health issue and they actually have therapy at 3:00 on Thursday afternoons, but to be flexible with those lunch hours or whatever kind of breaks that you give staff,
Sure.
so that they can take that hour when they have something scheduled and walk away from their desk and be able to have their therapy session.
So that could be, again, even though you don't know who in your, let's just say you're staffing, 40 employees and
Right.
you don't know which of them may have, but to make a general announcement maybe at a staff meeting, like, if you need a room, this is the room we've designated. And no one needs to know what you're going in that room for. I mean, that's kind of the catch, right?
When you have somebody who goes, hey, I need a private room for an hour and I'm going to take a break then.
Yeah, keep it
Don't
very
ask
general.
a lot of questions.
Right,
Just
but make it available.
Make
if
it available
possible.
to them. Right.
Okay,
right.
That's great
Yeah.
tip.
I kind of liken it to 20 years ago when breastfeeding moved into the workforce, right? To be able to give people the space in order to accommodate that.
Right. How can employers, I guess, is there any other things that employers can support youth in the workplace?
I really
is
believe
it
it's
kind of
that
the same
flexibility.
thing?
It's really the same thing.
Flexible in the workplace.
The flexibility is so important, and as we all know, in many of our employees, whether it doesn't make any difference anymore what generation they're a part of, people are looking for more balance and more flexibility.
Okay. And what about employers supporting hybrid work environments?
So for me, a hybrid work environment means that my staff will be working from home some of the time and some of the time in person.
Okay.
And it's really kind of deciding what's helpful for staff to be in person for, and what is it okay for them not to be. Yeah.
Okay. And if you're a retail establishment, whether it's a restaurant, retail, or something that has the counter that you need to be staffing, any thoughts on,
I just think it's that flexibility and scheduling.
Of maybe breaks
or at breaks and looking at different scheduling types. Is it easier for your staff to come in 4 days a week and work longer hours? Or is it better for them to work shorter hours? Because remember, parents especially still have issues with schools saying, nope, you were exposed to COVID, you can't come. And all of a sudden their whole world is like, oh my God, what do I do? I can't go to work.
Yeah.
And so just having variable schedules, I think, is helpful.
So Omni, it's been Omni Youth Services, right? So tell us just a little bit more about what you're doing for adults now.
Sure. We're actually using just Omni now, and kind of dropping the youth services, so that, because we are expanding our services to adults, and will be in the near future expanding them to children younger than 10 and 11 years old.
Okay.
And so it's really being able to treat the whole family system and be able to provide those supports for them.
I would just ask you, what do you feel like your key takeaways for our watchers are?
It's really that flexibility and understanding, I think, are the two most important things in all areas of our life right now as we continue to ride out COVID and its aftermath.
Yeah. And I know that for COVID, it's allowed a lot of businesses to expand some of their services, like you guys expanding to adults. But it also has made it more difficult to understand and learn, and we have to just grow with it and be tolerant of it and be aware, right? So thank you so much for watching the video today for our Creating Happiness in the Workplace interview series. And there'll be some more to come, so stay tuned. And thank you, Doryce, for being with us here with Omni Services.
Thank you very much for having me.